Hey guys, we at King's AgriSeeds are super excited to introduce to you our new Forage quality stick. You're probably familiar with the grazing stick that gives you the pounds of forage per acre, but our stick is a little bit different. We've added several features that are unique to our forage stick. You'll be able to use it to manage your cool season perennial pastures, your summer annuals, and also your cornfields. As you can see, we have 4 sides to our stick. Our first side is just your standard measurement stick. You will notice though that it's 4 feet instead of your standard 3 feet for a yardstick. Our next side is our cool season grasses side. This one will help you manage your perennial pastures. So you can see here that you want to start grazing your grass when it's at the 8 to 12 inch range. This is when it's the most nutritious and will be the most valuable for your cattle. You then want to take your cows off the pasture when it's grazed down to 4 inches about. And then you want to have your pastures overwinter when the grass is at about 5 to 6 inches. This makes sure that it has enough starch reserve to help it get through the winter. So let's take a look at this pasture. The height here is way past where we want to start grazing. We haven't mowed this grass for a while, so that's why this grass is high, but you could definitely start grazing it if you had this at our farm, at your farm. So you want to take several samples, kind of get the average height of your grass. This is Bar Optima, and it would definitely be ready to graze. Our next side is our summer annual side. If you're grazing your summer annuals, you only want to cut or graze about every 30 days. This should be when your sorghum or Sudan or millet is at 32 to 44 inches, which should be in this range here. You then want to take your cattle off that pasture when it's grazed down to 6 inches. We also have several management tips on this side. So make sure that the soil is at least 65 degrees when you plant your summer annuals. This is very critical to having a good stand. And apply nitrogen fertilizer after each cutting. And we recommend about 1 unit per day of growth. So if you'll have the cattle off of the pasture for 30 days, put on 30 pounds of net N. Probably my personal favorite side of the stick is the corn side here. So basically, instead of doing the 17.5 feet representative sample to get you your 1,000th of an acre, we've shortened that down to 4 feet. So hopefully that means more efficient sampling for you, which gives you more samples and more accurate results. You can use this side for several things. The first is population count. So basically what you do is you just lay this stick down in the field and you count how many stalks are in the length of the stick. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then you multiply that by your row spacing factor. This field is on 30-inch rows. So we're going to multiply it by 4,356. So 7 times 4,356 gives us 30,490 plants per acre. We recommend that you use your population checks at the V3 to V4 stage of your corn early in the spring to check your populations. If your populations are a lot lower than what you were aiming for, say you were aiming for 32,000 and you're looking and it's probably only 30,000, we advise that you look into planting issues, whether that's with your planter or weather conditions, or if there's any pest issues. The sooner that you can identify that there's a problem, the sooner that you can correct it for next year. The next thing we can use this stick for is to figure out your silage yield. So what you do is you do the same thing as the population. You lay your stick down and you take the weight of all the stalks within this distance. Unfortunately, we're not going to do that today because it's November 30th and it won't be an accurate representation, so we're going to do some hypothetical calculations. So let's go over here and do some calculations. So let's say that the stalks within this stick gave us 15 pounds. We're then going to use the row spacing to get our factor number here. So 30-inch rows gives us 4,356. And this should give us our as-fed yield per acre. So 15 times 4,356 gives us 65,340 pounds. We're then going to divide that by 2,000 to get our total tons per acre. So that gives us about 33 tons per acre as fed. Then calculate your dry matter yield per acre. We got to do some calculations off of that. You need your moisture percentage to figure that out, which you probably won't have in the field. So that might not be an accurate guess. But if you do know your moisture, you can then take your answer for your as fed. And let's say that for now, we're actually going to use the pounds for this. So 65,340. Let's say that this sample was 65% moisture, so 35% dry matter. We're going to move that to a decimal percent, so we're going to make that 0.35. And then of course we're going to want this back in tons for us, so we're going to divide that by 2,000. And once we plug that in here, 65,340 times 0.35 divided by 2,000. That's giving us a yield of 11.4 tons of dry matter per acre. Pretty cool. The final thing we can use the stick for is to get our grain yield estimate. So basically we're going to do what we've been doing, lay the stick down, gather the ears from the stalks within this distance, and then we'll do some calculations from there. So let's go get our ears. So we have some pretty fancy equipment here, a corn sheller, and then a postage scales. If you don't have a corn sheller, that's fine. There's some cob to kernel calculations. You can look those up online if that's the way you're gonna go. But you will need a scale for this. All right, we have 2 pounds and 7 ounces. So that's gonna be, I'm gonna say two and a half pounds there, converting ounces to pounds. So with our 2.5 pound grain sample, we're then gonna use this equation right here on the stick. It's all laid out for you. 100 minus the moisture percentage. We're gonna assume that this corn was 15.5% because it is late in the season. If you're sampling out in September or earlier, you might wanna figure around 20%. I will say about this stick though, there should be parentheses between the 100 and moisture. Basically you're looking for your dry matter right there, so make sure you plug in parentheses. We can draw that here actually. Otherwise your calculation will be thrown off a little bit. So over here I have the equation written out. The 100 minus our 15.5 moisture percentage times our weight of the sample, which was about 2.5 pounds. This is the factor for the 30-inch rows, so 27.454, and then we're going to divide that by our 30-inch rows. So the total calculation for that is 100 minus 15.5 gives us 84.5, and then you multiply that by 2.5 times 27.454 divided by 30 gives us a yield of 193 bushels per acre. We hope you and your customers are excited about using this stick as we are. We do want to reiterate, this is such a small sample, so we recommend taking multiple samples because even a little bit of difference can throw your results off quite a bit. If you have any questions, call the office, Genevieve or myself, or your regional coordinator, and we'll be happy to help you. Thanks for watching.